Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, good morning and welcome to this new session of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. Today, we are returning to the monthly session with the EEN, the European Enterprise Network. And so we have with us again, Daniel Kosnita. Thank you, Daniel, for your help in organizing this session. And three excellent speakers on the topic for today, that is tourism, okay? Collaboration in the tourism ecosystem. We have with us Eija Koniszewska, sorry, Eija. Thank you. Álvaro Suárez, so Eija is from the EEN Sector Group Tourism and Culture Heritage. We have also Álvaro Suárez from the Asturias Cluster and Emil Komsa from the Transylvania Lands Cluster. And I want to say also thank you to Susanne Baden, that has been also of great help in the organization of this session. So, without any more introduction, I will give the floor to Daniel, that will act as moderator for this session. Thank you, Daniel, again.
Thank you, Antonio. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this new session where we discuss the cooperation between the clusters and the Enterprise Europe Network. We are all familiar in this group about the important industrial ecosystems, which are set to become the drivers of the economic recovery, green, digital and resilient economic recovery of Europe after the coronavirus pandemic. But what we also have to know, and we would like to also to stress, is that in the Enterprise Europe Network, there are so-called sector groups and thematic groups. And of course, in the new period, because the new period of the Enterprise Europe Network will start at the beginning of next year, most probably this sector group will change and will fit to the 14 industrial ecosystems. But also in the current period, these sector groups, of course, are related to the most relevant European industrial sectors. And so this is why, because why we have chosen tourism as let's say the first industrial ecosystems that we discuss in the frame of the clusters and the Enterprise Europe Network collaboration, is because is for obvious reason. Tourism sector was the hardest hit, or one of the hardest hit sectors during the pandemic. So this is why we have chosen for today to give you an overview of what the EEN is doing in cooperation with and for the tourism sector. And for this we have invited, thank you very much, Aya, which Koniszewska-Azadi, which is the vice chair of the Enterprise Europe Network Sector Group Tourism and Culture Heritage. And then we have made something like a bridge, like an arc between the western utmost, let's say, European part. So we have Spain, and then we have the eastern utmost part. We have Emil Komsa, Alvaro from Spain, and Emil from Romania. And we hope that so under this arc we are able to give you an overview of the problems the sector was facing. And of course we want to discuss how the distinguished speakers see the future of the tourism sector after the pandemic. This being said, I would like to ask Mrs. Aya Koniszewska-Azadi, which is the vice chair of the Enterprise Europe Network Sector Group for Tourism and Culture Heritage, to explain a little bit what's about these sector groups, what the tourist sector is doing inside the tourist sector group is doing inside Enterprise Europe Network, and how she sees the future of the cooperation. Aya, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm still trying to find out to share my screen. Just a second. Can you see my screen potentially right now? Can I have some confirmation on this?
Yes, we are seeing your navigator at this moment.
Okay. Yes.
Now beautiful ends.
Lovely towers.
Great, and potentially the presentation view at the moment.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes, I don't see all the participants. I can only see my screen. So if there's any questions or things like that, you can make me aware of that.
For sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, for the great presentation and also a short introduction. What is EN and what sector groups are doing within the EN. Yes, my name is Zaya. Originally, I'm from Latvia, but living in Denmark for the last many years. And I'm deputy chair of the Enterprise Europe Network sector group on tourism and cultural heritage that I'm leading together with a chair from Italy and the other vice chair from Malta. I'm also a member of the working group on culture, heritage and tourism within the ERIN. That's a European Region Research and Innovation Network. So it is gathering several regional EU offices in the network that is based in Brussels. And the last part, I'm also a member of the DACUP, ERFA Group on Culture. That is a cooperation between the Danish municipalities, EU offices, universities that both have offices in Denmark and also in Brussels. This is just to show that, I have a broad network to apply in regards to find the relevant partnerships within the tourism and culture sector. As you mentioned, Enterprise Europe Network, just a short thank you. No, it's still the world's biggest support network for SMEs that have international ambitions. And from 60 countries that are in total within the Enterprise Europe Network, there are people who are having common interest within 17 sector groups as of now. As you know, in these 14 ecosystems that are being emphasized in the industrial strategy, it's being reduced the amount of the sectors. So it's also expected that there will be maybe some reductions within the existing sector group, but tourism is still there. So we are sure that this is emphasis also in the next years of the EU and the industrial ecosystem. Yes, what we have done, and it was a tough year, both 2019 and 20 as well. We are 21 countries represented at the moment, and one of our recent members are actually from Chile. That is more exciting, let's say, than the previous representatives. Spain, Gran Canaria is also one of the new members that actually recently joined to us. So we are 34 members together. Here there are some countries that are represented with the several members. Still, 2020 was a tough year, and my last brokerage event was in February 14th in 2020 in Prague, that we still managed to arrange before whole Europe and whole world locked down for several months. So still, despite the fact that it was tough to have physical meetings, to have physical events, and still keep an interest, because tourism is the area that needs face-to-face meetings. It's easier to show your product. It's easier to discuss the partnership opportunities. So it's not so easy to move these discussions to the online framework. But despite that, we still could arrange 10 brokerage events in 2020 that were part of the trade fairs within the tourism, culture, heritage. We could still manage to have 5 company missions that were even more challenged due that you have to still travel. That is a part of it. And yeah, I mentioned here on the top some of the events that we have had, and here just to show the broad range of the things, where some of the events are directly the tourism fairs, some other ones where the tourism, culture, heritage were part of the event, like online global cluster matchmaking that we arrange here together with the Cluster Excellence Denmark. That we're gathering a broad variety of the clusters, both to discuss what is the situation right now, how we should address it, and where there's funding to proceed, as well as cluster to cluster meeting and innovation and match brokerage event that is actually arranged by the organization in Italy. That is also gathering the clusters within the broad variety of topics, and tourism, digital transformation, green transformation of the tourism industry. It was also one of the topics emphasized in 2020. Yes, besides that, as we couldn't be in presence to so many physical meetings, so of course we were applying the group resources to exchange information on the local, regional, national support measures in tourism sector, what have been applied, to see if that's something that we can also recommend in our own local context. Some of the member organizations, they are regional development agencies. So it was for them a great channel to actually collect easily what is being done in other countries, and is there something that we could also apply in our own country. At the same time, we experienced that there have been a quite high boom of the tourism apps, AI, VR technology companies that actually appeared during this pandemic that had some solutions for the tourism industry. Like some of the companies they mentioned, there are still several countries where every third museum or cultural institution, they don't really have an online booking system. So it was a time also that several tourism or cultural heritage organizations, they realized that they are actually very vulnerable in regards to the situation that just appeared. So it was also a quite high need for new technology to actually be applied within the industry. And yeah, like I mentioned, share of good practice examples. As you can see, there's a picture actually here from the Aalborg Zoo that I'm placed in when during the Christmas time, as such an normal thing in Christmas, like Santa that is usually having a child on the lap, it couldn't happen because you can't have the physical contact. So they placed Santa in this snowball, so the kids still can have as close as possible contact with the Santa and could tell about their Christmas wishes. So it was also one of the examples that actually Denmark and Aalborg became quite acknowledged and popular in several channels around the world because of this initiative. Yeah, what's next? We are halfway in 2021, and yeah, how the things are going on. We are still part of the crisis. It's going better. The industry is beginning to open, but still there is a way to go before all the people are getting vaccinated and things like that. So we're saying business as usual. Yeah, we still have focus on project partnerships, advisory services, brokerage events, business missions, company missions, subcontracting. More specifically, this year started with the several new initiatives that destinations, tourism destinations could apply for. As all of you know, programs and work programs have been delayed significantly. In some of them few months, some of the calls were still expecting, like for example COSME, there should be published a call end of the second quarter on the tourism industry that could be also relevant for the cluster organizations. but we haven't seen it yet in the funding and tenders portal. So that's on the way. That's why in this period where there were no open calls to search for, there were several other initiatives. Like, for example, the European Destinations of Excellence that also had deadlines 16th of June, where destinations could apply if they have quite impressive achievements to show in regards to the sustainable tourism. The same was also the capital of the smart tourism in the Europe. That is actually an initiative open not only to the capitals but also to the larger cities, over 100,000 inhabitants. That is also possible to apply if you have specific impact being made, activities being made within the smart tourism approach. Both initiatives have no funding on the other end, but they are more the way if you are being the sustainable tourism pioneer or the capital of the smart tourism. It means that 2022 will be the year when through the EU channels your destination will be branded across the Europe through their communication channels. So that's quite a lot of support to actually promote. And of course, it expected that it should result in the rise of the tourists. Besides that, also it came this seal of COVID-19 safety. That is a new tool actually to apply for the tourism actors, tourism destinations, to show that they have applied the common rules within the, if that's a hotel sector or that's a camping place that we talk about, to provide the safe destination, COVID-19 safe. So of course, like usually with all the labels, there is some fee that you should pay for, and you receive both the requirements that you should live up to, like destination, and then you can prolong the seal for your destination. So it's also a way to label, to show that you are open for tourists, that you provide the tourism product that is COVID-19 safe. And also the European Heritage Nostra Awards, that is an old initiative, but it's still available and possible to search for some of the heritage sites that have been renovated with a significant impact in the European context. So that's also something that can apply, and there is a 10,000 euro grant on the other end if you are being ending up like a finalist. So it was the first things from the EU side before all the calls have been there in the funding and tenders portal. Yes, trade fairs, business missions. We, of course, as you know very well in your own countries, all of us are looking forward after the summer vacation, because that's when we expect most of the countries have already maybe finalized or are close to that, to vaccinate all the people that they want to be vaccinated. And it means that we again can have kind of normal physical trade fairs. This is actually one of the first that is being confirmed that it will take place in the hybrid version in Holiday World in Prague. That's an annual event returning back every year and gathering really broad variety of countries between 1st to 3rd of October, that we are also organizing B2Match matchmaking meetings during the event. It's still being held in this hybrid version because there is some uncertainty about how many people can we have on site, and there still should be possibility for those that maybe due to travel restrictions can't participate on site, so they can join it still online from their home locations. Yes, and all of you that are within the tourism industry should use some time to actually read the guide on EU funding for tourism, because that's both to have a picture about the funding options that will be within the next 7 years, as we just started the new budget period. So that will be a good place to start if you're looking for EU funding. Of course, as an Enterprise Europe network, we are supporting our clients that have a specific idea within the tourism and have the international European perspective in it to see where it's placed best. But this creates a really great overview if you're looking in that direction to start with. So that would be my last slide to stop and stop sharing the screen. So if there's any additional question, it was a short intro from my side.
Thank you very much, Aya, for this presentation. So we have a question. Jaime, maybe you want to put it aloud.
Okay, good morning. I can already
Yes,
put the question.
James.
Thank you very much. Yes, I recently heard in a conference from someone that is an expert on the topic that tourism should have more and more in the future a new management mindset, and especially it should focus on strategic innovation more than most of the times in single quick operational decisions. Do you agree with this point of view from your experience?
I mean, there should be a transition, of course, in the tourism industry. And as we can see in the funding ecosystem, all the new funds, they're also actually pushing the tourism industry to think out of the box. Yes, I agree that there is a need for new management mindset. There is need to actually mix different industries, to go together, if that's a creative industries, to go together with the more cultural actors, to add more research. That is maybe not a natural way of thinking if we just think, I don't know, about the camping site being placed in the rural area. So there should be more open for opportunities, more open to cross collaborate in between the sectors. That is the way if you want to survive. And let's say in our support to the SMEs, it's actually our first thing it is, if you want to survive and you want to be there in 10 years. So you have to start to now think about digitalization, you have to start think now about the green transition. So yeah, I pretty much agree on this point of view.
Thank you very much, Aya, also for this answer. So we have seen that, okay, hybrid is a solution, but tourism needs coming back. We have also seen the shortcoming because, yeah, the tourism operators, they were not prepared for this. And yeah, we have seen that the Enterprise Europe network is strongly supporting cooperation in tourism, and not only in Europe, but we have seen from the sector group that the Enterprise Europe network is a global network. So thank you very much, Aya, and looking forward also for fruitful discussions in the session and also in the future on this topic. Now let's go to a cluster. Let's go down to earth, or so to say, so to another level, to the people that have been hit by the crisis and what's the solutions that they found. And we start with Alvaro from Asturias cluster in Spain, a cluster of rural tourism. And Alvaro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna share. So I'm gonna disappear from the screen and I'm gonna show you my presentation. So good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for this invitation. I think it's a
Sorry,
great opportunity.
Just for your knowledge, it's not in full screen.
It's not in full screen. Okay, I'm gonna just.
Now,
great. It should be now.
It's perfect.
Great. Okay, thank you for the clarification. As I said before, thank you first and foremost for this invitation, because I think not just to do a brief explanation of what we do and how we work in a cluster in tourism, in rural tourism, but also to share our experience during this critical situation that we had in this last year and a half during the pandemic. So again, thank you. And if during the brief explanation you need more information about any of the points that I'm going to explain, don't hesitate later to ask directly or maybe individually via email. I will be happy to share this experience. So first of all, my name is, as Daniel said, my name is Álvaro Suárez. I'm representing today the cluster rural tourism in Asturias. Asturias is in the northwest of Spain. It's a region, as you can see here in the map. You should be having a map in which our region is represented between Galicia and Basque Country. And as you know, as the presentation shows, we represent today 58 partners in the entire value chain in tourism industry, from accommodation, so hotels, rural houses, rural cottages, to active and adventure tourism activities, companies such as kayaking, bike rental, travel agencies, tour operators, incoming operators here in Asturias are also part of our cluster, and even complementary services such as travel academy or a language academy, and traditional cheese makers and cider makers. So I was listening to Aija later before, and I was listening to this cross-field cooperation, and I think that we are exactly doing this at this moment. We are trying to collaborate between the different actors in the value chain in tourism. So this is the picture today. So these are the main goals that we had until March 2020, this turning point that we suffer, all of us in tourism industry. So I'm gonna just explain briefly what we did until that point. Our main goals were to promote innovation amongst our partners, so developing new products and sustainable products in tourism field, to develop and strengthen partnership and collaboration between these partners and other tourism industry partners as well, in order to identify technical needs and also a new business strategy that we wanted to develop. We provided as well a training program on a monthly based approximately that we have changed. You will see later during the pandemic, we had changed and switched to a weekly based training program. And we also were in charge of promoting nationally and internationally in trade fairs our partners, specifically on, as you know, Fitur in Spain or Intour in Valladolid, on the thematic of our cluster in rural tourism. So that turning point, March 2020, was we were even forced to change our motto, which is in our partners, we always say, you want to work fast, work alone, but you want to work far, work together. But nevertheless, during this turning point of March 2020, we had to change it and say we have to go fast, we have to go together, but we have to go quickly. We have to react to the new situation and the new needs of our partners. So this is why we faced three main challenges. I have summarized all the challenges that we faced during the last year and a half, in three different fields. The first one, it was information. We had, and you know very well from the beginning of the pandemic, it was very hard to find trustable and unified information about legal and safety regulation. So we tried to help our partners not to be over-informed. So we centralized the action of receiving all the information and providing informative material regarding preventive and health measures, and also to strengthen the level of health condition in our partners' hotels and activities. So we did this material for them in order to be shared with the clients, with their final clients, and also to give a unified image of our cluster as well. And as you know, by the end of the last lockdown, well, the beginning of the pandemic, during June 2020, there was a scarcity of material when it comes to PPE, to personal protective equipment. So we decided that it was a good idea for all of us to do a joint purchase. Most of our partners, they participated in this joint purchase in order to have good material, in order to restart opening their hotels with the good equipment. So this is what we did as well. So that was our big first challenge. The second field of actions that we did, and the second challenge that we faced, was what to do with all this spare time that our partners, they had, unfortunately, because they couldn't open during the first lockdown, and after that during the last lockdown until April this year. So we decided to strengthen our complete training program. So we switched from a monthly base to a weekly base on different topics, especially on those topics in which we could imagine that were a key factor for future development, especially on digital literacy, in order to communicate better with their final customers. Also image edition, social media, online maps edition. We also use that time to develop new skills on business strategy, especially revenue management and email marketing, and even professional English with our partners of language academy. We developed a weekly based training program, and also we helped our partners to implement as well Rural Guest, which is one of the channel managers used here in rural tourism. So that was the second big field for challenges. And I would say from our experience that the biggest challenge was to anticipate and to understand the changes on travelers' behavior. So from the beginning, and I think that you in tourism, you had exactly the same experience. From the beginning, we had a feeling that there was a hunger for rural-based or nature-based destinations, as we are, and also a higher and a big increase of national tourism because of the lack of mobility, of international mobility. So in all this critical situation, that was a positive point for us. As well, we had a feeling with our clients, with our partners, that individual accommodation was preferred to like biggest accommodation companies, and also the changes on the booking process as well. For example, the free of charge cancellation policy was something that we have to adapt to, and also the last minute bookings. I'm gonna share with you one of the data that we received today. Asturias, as many other destinations, we are this summer, so July and August, we are almost 95% full, which means that we are very good on the next months, but we have almost few bookings on September and October. And I think that this is a pattern for all destinations, because tourists or travelers, they are now booking on the last minute. And we suffered exactly the same last year, and we have to adapt. You will see how we did it. So in the final, obviously, was to adapt to the cleaning protocol and also to respect the hygienic measures that were, well, as you know very well, they were needed for this situation. So we detected the opportunity to develop new channels, and this is what we did. Finally, we developed a couple of new sales channels, an online booking platform which has been directed to B2C and B2B, not just for final customers, but also to travel agencies and tour operators that were not used to work with rural tourism. So they asked us to develop this tool so we could provide real-time availability and direct booking with our partners' channel manager. So this was one of the biggest challenges last year, to develop this tool. And we have this opportunity to increase our competitiveness and visibility with this online booking platform. On the other hand, we helped our travel agencies inside the cluster, so internal travel agencies, to develop a rural break online marketplace in order to provide as well all-inclusive packages, rural tourism packages provided by our partners. So we created this kind of rural breaks, innovative products to provide a better experience and also a cross-field experience, as Aja said before, in order to put in collaboration and help our partners to create new ways of collaboration. And the last year project that we are now working in, and we have just launched a couple of months ago, is, and then this is a good example of what has been said before. We have been working in partnership with the protective designation origin Asturias Cider in order to provide and create a cider club, cider product club. So our partners, they could also offer to their final customers a new kind of experience in which they were not just discovering the region, not just discovering Asturias tourism, but also discovering one of the gastronomy identity of the region. So this is a new project that we have been, as I said before, working for the last year and that we are working in at the moment. So again, I think that this is the new way. And as a conclusion, I would say that we are receiving plenty of information and plenty of demands from travel agencies and tour operators because they want to increase the collaboration with rural tourism. I think that I have respected the 10 minutes policy, Daniel. So, but if you have more questions, I will share with you these interesting links that could maybe help you to understand much better the projects. And obviously, I will be available later to answer to the questions.
Thank you very much, Alvaro. You have shown us very interesting examples. There are questions from the audience. Yeah, if Susanne.
Yes, thank you so much. It's very impressive to see what you have managed to do in spite of the crisis. I just wonder, it seemed that you're very local because international guests are impossible, but are you dealing with international platform? You have these hotels.com or booking.com. Are you also on these platforms, or the one you developed seemed to be very target the Spanish group?
It is, unfortunately. Thank you, Susan, for your question. Yes, it is actually because, well, I'm not gonna go in detail into the numbers, but Asturias is still a very national destination. So our region is working very hard on providing international promotion, and these tools are yet oriented to national, but obviously we will translate and open to new travel agents and new collaborators internationally. So yes, we are working on that.
Looking forward to it, so we can book our holiday.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what I have understood, yes, is this there's a tendency towards individual tourism, so individualized, tailor-made tourism. Yes, Antonio, you have a question.
Just, I need to testify that Asturias is a wonderful place to be, okay, and to eat, okay. So,
thank you, Antonio.
Personal recommendation.
Thank
and
you
then maybe
for the promotion.
Individualized menu also, so not an individualized tourist package, but also individualized menu. Yeah, and okay, and yeah, we have yes, for the rural tourism, so yeah, returning to nature and things like that, and maybe the tendency has started some years ago, but this has been accelerated by the pandemic, right? So it's this individualized tourism that is starting to get more and more important. And I think this is a very good introduction also to our next speaker, to Mr. Emil Comșa, which is managing Transylvania Lands cluster in Romania, which is also, as far as I know, also concentrating on this rural tourism and individualized aspects. And the floor is yours. Please share with us your views on how the tourism clusters and how the tourism sector, how this will look like, yeah, after the pandemic. Emil, the floor is yours.
Hello,
I want to speak louder, yes.
What? Okay, I share my screen. Yes, you see my screen?
But just do it full screen.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, but I don't see me. Um,
We see you.
okay, it's nice. Okay, Transylvania Lands Cluster is new in this activity in Romania. We are localized in central for Romania, and Transylvania is not Dracula's country, as many people know Transylvania. Our cluster is formalized in this map because Romania not have in this moment regional lands like in other countries, and our presentation is beginning from Transylvania, but our our presentation is all about Romania. More about our cluster you can find in this link about cluster collaboration. In this period, begin of period of pandemic. In this period, in Romania is made an alliance for tourism with many NGOs, and also collaborate with our authorities to analyze and to make necessary measures um, for fight with this most vulnerable period. In Romania, you can see our with program elaborated with Alliance for Tourism, couple measures to increase contribution of GDP for Romania of sector of tourism. Final dates from National Institute of Statistics in comparison with precedent years is presented here, and also a study of index of use accommodation in percentage points in comparison with anterior period. Romania have a long time lockdown in 2020, and after relaxation, something activity is revived. You have in bottom the statistic about structure of tourism classified in Romania. Our Alliance for Tourism has elaborated an search interview agenda to discuss with our government, with our institution, and after this important question, the conclusions is not good for Romania. Romania have is necessary for Romania to reset, supported by relevant public institution. And this in this year, our government have elaborate good measure, but not enough funds to sustain this sector. And also the campaign to vaccinate population and also people who works in tourism in this moment is in good condition, and Romania is in this moment declared as a destination with very sure condition. Also for people not vaccinated, also for people vaccinated. And after 1 year of pandemic time, we have a statistic also not good for Romania. Decreasing is continuing, but conform our National Institute of Statistics. And what is happening in this year? Romania is now a green destination thanks to a sustained vaccination campaign. Also, Sibiu, who was very active in Romanian tourism, like Fanian. In this year, in September-October period and continue in 2022, divine capital of hiking. Also, Romania and our cluster members, we try to capitalize eco-tourist destination. I don't have a photo, but with this link, you can access of this destination. Also, we try to capitalize at a destination, and we have also from this year an Romanian portal with add-on destination in Romania. And here is a lot of source of information. I am sorry, I'm a little tired because I view the European Championship of Football. I hope this information is important for this participation. Thanks a lot for this invitation. is the second time when our clusters participate to this activity to have possibility to communicate and understand what has happened in these sectors in other country. Romania is in this moment in implementation with a new strategy to developing tourism, like you see in our project of Alliance of Tourism. If you have any question, please contact Mr. Daniel Kornitsa, and also you have possibility to interact with us using our portal Transylvania Lens Cluster. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emil. I mean, always for this very informative presentation. I mean, always, yeah, beautiful, and yeah, but when we see on the hard figures, we see that the situation is not so, yeah, it's hard, yeah. So the tourism sector, as you have seen by the figures, has been very hard hit in Romania, but also in other countries. So this is why some innovative solutions, this Alliance for Tourism, yeah, which gathers more than your cluster, so is struggling to do something. And also, coming to also to the previous presentation, the fact that you have 90 in Asturias, the fact that you have 98% occupancy for July and August is very is something outstanding. And because I came back to you, Alvaro, I would like to ask a question, and maybe also to Emil. Yeah, you in your slide you said that you quoted that if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go together. But I mean, what we have seen, it is very somehow this tourism sector is not so clusterizable. So it's easier to make a cluster in textiles, for example, than in tourism. And so what drives because now we need cooperation, as you both mentioned. What drives the tourism operators, and what will be the main driver that they come together in the cluster and that they continue as a cluster? Alvaro, if you...
That's thank you, Daniel. That's a very good question. As I said before, tourism today needs cooperation. Obviously, cluster is not, or tourism is not the natural habitat for clusters. That's has to be said as well. Not as at this moment, but it should be in the future as well. So I would say that our partners' interest would be to find new ways to develop their products, to find new ways to communicate as well what they are doing, and also because we are working in a specific field, which is rural tourism. So otherwise it would be very difficult to increase their, not just their sales volume, but their activity in general. So we are based in a place, in a region, in a field in which is quite easy, I wouldn't say quite easy, but it's quite necessary to provide this help. And as Susan asked before, one of the main objectives is in the future, in the near future, is to internationalize our activity, which is absolutely impossible if they are doing on their own. So finally, we are talking about small structures that needs like working all together, as we said before, in cluster could be very helpful.
If you want very short, what's driving people to go to tourism operators to come in a cluster? Emil, are you hearing us? You have to unmute yourself.
If I may, Daniel, while we wait for her, Okay, I just wanted to share with you one interesting opportunity in creating those kind of international collaboration that you are speaking about. Okay, just this Friday, there is a meeting of the S3 thematic platforms. You know, the platforms related to the smart specialization strategies. Okay, this is a joint event. It's not open to the public, but it's open for clusters, just through our invitation. Okay, and you have in the screen the registration link. I will share it with you in the chat. Okay, it's quite interesting, I hope, for you, because there will be some thematic panels on tourism. Okay, you have here the agenda. Okay, and we can see it together. There is I don't know what is happening with the PC. Okay, there is the first day is the steering committee itself. Okay, and during the first day there will be a panel on virtual and smart cultural tourism. Okay, and during the second day that are bilateral session, there will be a bilateral session on cultural and creative ecosystem, and another one in digitalization and safety for tourism. Okay, so you are invited to join those sessions. Okay, and the idea of the session is to create a dialogue and to facilitate the involvement of clusters, or not only clusters, all the actors, but from our perspective, clusters on those smart specialization strategies. Okay, during the last day is dedicated to the blue economy. There is also an area of coastal and maritime tourism. So I'm going to share now the link with you. Okay, and you can register there, and after you register you will receive the invitation to those thematic platforms. It's an immediate opportunity and I think a very good opportunity. You know that there will be 500 millions of funding, the European funding, for the what is called the I3, the interregional investment initiatives. Okay, and those initiatives are very, very linked with those thematic platforms that will join during these sessions. Okay, it's not direct direct relationship, so the calls will be open for anybody, but for sure I think that the best position is for those thematic platforms. So we want to encourage you to link with them, okay, to participate on those sessions and to spread even the knowledge of those sessions with the rest of your contacts, okay, and that way take the opportunity to grow in that international dimension. I don't know if you have any question on this. If not, I'm going to share the link now in the chat. Thank you. Sorry, Daniel, for interrupting you.
No problem. This is also a very good opportunity also for the tourism clusters. And there is a question from Susanne, if there is an international alliance or clusters, and maybe Aya, if she's still with us, would answer to this question, if she's still with us. And also, I have another question, because it's very important about this hybrid. You mentioned this problem of the hybrid, yeah, very much. Yeah, how do you see it in the future? So, okay, yeah, you know, for example, give you an example. After to enter to the Louvre, I would have to stay, I don't know, at a queue. Yeah, now if it is digitalized, maybe I won't want to go to the Louvre directly, and this will be somehow bad. Yeah, how do you see this balance in the future between hybrid and physical and yeah, proportion? I don't know, something like assessment. So if maybe know about an international alliance of clusters.
Yeah, the first one, International Alliance, because like Susanna mentioned, tourism is quite broad approach. You might have the tourism within the hotel industry. Are we talking about the restaurant industry? Are we talking about the tourism like destinations? There are international alliances. I think the one is on the Responsible Tourism Alliance. That is also one of the known ones, but it's still of tourism and hospitality. So they are taking the framework. There are also a separate one for the museums that are mostly looking on the cultural part. You have health tourism, you have maritime coastal tourism. So I think that's the reason that there are so many different approaches, that there are organizations that cooperate within specific fields. But I think it's a good thing to maybe at some point, if there's possibility to create this cross-sectoral approach and create one overall. Or I think also the global platforms of clusters works good enough to create these cross collaborations in between. So you have one forum where you talk with the people that are within the same industry, within the same sector, that you exchange knowledge and how you approach things. And then you can go into these global cluster platforms that I would say it's the best approach if we talk from the perspective what are clusters doing or alliances doing, to have some result or to have some impact. So there is, it's not that I know that overall, just despite the one that I mentioned, that is overall tourism alliance or things like that. As much as I know, if somebody wants to correct me, you're welcome. But the other question, Daniel, that you mentioned about this hybrid things, like I said, in regards to the brokerage events company missions, it doesn't work for the tourism industry only to have an online meeting. It also is difficult for the other industries actually to make a business agreement or cooperation if you haven't met a person in person. It's might be a good start to create the first dialogue, and I think exactly the tourism industry, several companies, like we quite often talk about Germany, that is quite specific when we talk about digitalization, when you might still experience that you're required to send a fax to some companies in Germany. So it's have been a good thing that several actors that were maybe avoiding to go the digital way, they were pushed to go towards it. But let's say as it is, there is always the face-to-face contact that actually can create an opportunity that you can sign a deal. While most of also our clients, they say, okay, we had a great online meeting. We discussed, we had so many things that we want to work together, but I will sign something after I have met them in person. So yeah, I think there will be much more approaches when you're gonna mix these things and see what is most time efficient, value efficient, and so on. But the physical contact will still be required to say so. So yeah, that's my evaluation.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for this very good session. I think that we have heard the general perspective from Aya, and it was highlighted also in the end. In the tourist sector, you need to get physical, so to say, and the business went on. Also in the pandemic, we have seen the innovative solutions that the Asturias cluster has found, and how they changed the model, the business model in times of the pandemic, and they reached, this is a reward, they reached the 98% occupancy for July and August. And also we have heard from them this trend that has been intensified towards individualized tourism and also eating there in the region. Also from Transylvania, from Romania, we've seen the hard figures, how hard really the sector was hit in the pandemic times. I think that this is a very challenging sector and a very challenging discussion. which will continue in our morning session, also with other occasions. I thank you very much for you participating to this, and back to you, Antonio, for the final word.
Oh, thank you to you, to all of you, for that very interesting session. Okay, have a very nice day, but also a very good and productive summer. Okay, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye, Susan.
Bye bye, Antonio.